Hey everyone, welcome to Lesson 3 of Caregiver University. In this lesson, we're going to focus on transfers, specifically those to and from a 3-in-1 commode or shower chair. When completing a transfer to a 3-in-1 commode or a shower chair, there's a little bit of a difference in the safety checks that you need to make. You often complete these type of transfers in a bathroom or shower. So it's very important to make sure that the floor is dry to prevent any slipping and falling. You also need to make sure that there's adequate lighting so you can see exactly where you need to go. Finally, you need to make sure that the area is clear of all obstacles. Bathrooms can be a tight spot to complete a transfer, so it's important to move anything out of the way that you can. After you complete the previous safety checks, you can apply the gait belt to the consumer and start by positioning the wheelchair. The first thing that you'll do is position the wheelchair at a 45-degree angle to the commode or shower chair. You want to make sure that the wheelchair is as close to the commode or shower chair as possible, but make sure that it's at an angle because that will make it easier for the consumer to get from one chair to the other. The next thing you need to do is make sure that the caster wheels are facing forward. Those are the small wheels at the front of the wheelchair. For them to be facing forward, you want to either move them with your foot or your hand, but then make sure you wash it before you touch the consumer or anything, and twist them so that they're in the position that they would normally be if you're pushing the wheelchair. Next, you want to make sure that the brakes are locked if it's a manual wheelchair, and turn the wheelchair off if it's an electric wheelchair. The third thing that you want to do is remove or swing the footrest out of the way. If you can, it's preferable to remove the footrests so that they're not in your way at all. Fourth thing to do is to remove the armrest from the wheelchair that's closest to the commode or shower chair. This will allow you more room when transferring the consumer, and you won't have to lift them up over the wheelchair, and nothing will get stuck during the transfer either. Next, you want to position the consumer. To position the consumer, you want them to scoot forward to the edge of the chair as far as possible, without them falling off, of course. If the consumer is able to help, you can ask them to do it themselves and just watch and make sure that they don't fall or have any problems. But if they need help, this is what you will do. So first, you'll position yourself in front of them in the squatting position with your knees and hips bent. I prefer to have my feet staggered so that I can help support the leg of the consumer during the transfer, so I'll have one foot in front of the other. Next, you want to either tell the consumer or help them to lean forward while they rest their head and chin on one of your shoulders. Next, you need to ask the consumer if it's okay that you place your hands on either side of their hips. This is how you will help them to scoot forward. At this point, you will be in the squatting position with your feet staggered. The consumer is leaning forward with their head and chin on one of your shoulders, and your hands will be on either side of the hips. Then you'll use your body weight to rock back while using your hands to slide one side of the consumer's hips forward. You'll do one side at a time by keeping your hands on their hips and continuing to use your body weight each time to lean back and scoot each side forward. Once they're far enough forward in the chair, you want to make sure that their feet are flat on the floor and that their heels are turned towards the direction that you're transferring. So they'll be turned towards the commode or shower chair. Once the consumer is far enough forward in the wheelchair, you'll want to position your body to prepare for the transfer. If the consumer is able to help at all during the transfer, you want to position yourself in front of them with your feet staggered. You want the foot that's in front to be between the consumer's feet. With the same foot and leg, you want to position your leg and your knee so that it's directly next to the consumer's leg and touching it. This will help provide stability during the transfer and help to keep their knees from buckling. If the consumer requires maximum assistance during the transfer, you still want to face them, but you want your feet to be on either side of the outside of the consumer's feet and knees. With this position, while transferring, you'll use your knees to squeeze together, and this will guard the consumer's legs and help you move them with you. It helps make the transfer a lot smoother. The next step is performing the actual transfer. Like I mentioned before, you'll count to 3 to inform the consumer of when you will begin. Next, you'll make sure that your hips and knees are bent in the squatting position and grab a hold of the gait belt. Then you'll use your body to rock back and forth to create enough momentum to help you to lift the consumer. So the fourth step is that when you use that momentum, you'll quickly turn your feet and legs towards the commode or shower chair while lifting up the consumer using the gait belt, and you'll gently guide them to sit on the new surface. If the consumer isn't situated perfectly right away on the commode or shower chair, you can just use the same scooting technique as before to help move their hips to position them correctly. It's also helpful to use your knees to kind of press against the consumer's knees while scooting them back, and it can provide some assistance without being too much force. This is the completion of lesson 3. Please move on to the next slide and complete the quiz.